And welcome back to the Ohio only challenge here on Madden 23, where last episode we finished off Season 2, and we made some progress, but not as much as we were really hoping for considering some of the big trades that we ended up making. So, unfortunately, we end up at the bottom of the AFC North with a 6-11 record. Not great, but we did get 2 more wins than we did the first season, so there is some progress there. And today is Pro Bowl, so let's go ahead and take a look at these Pro Bowl rosters. I want to say last year we had 2. I want to say it was Treader at center and then Jerome Baker at linebacker. Expect Jerome Baker to be back again, but let's run through here with the quarterbacks being Prescott, Wilson, Watson, and then Mahomes, Fields, and Jackson. At running back, we have Mixon, Hunt, and McCaffrey, and then Henry, Taylor, and Jones. Pretty much exactly who we'd expect, almost all 99s. Well, I guess Kareem Hunt is actually an 89 with the lowest, but he always plays really well. Fullbacks are going to be Ham and Melton, and then Janovich and Benson. Again, pretty much as they always are. Receivers, Smith, Renfro, Metcalf, Diggs, and Smith. So 2 Smiths for the NFC. And then AFC, Thielen, Tony, Kirk, Samuel, and Hopkins, with Myers and Cooper as well. I always forget that there's 6 of the receivers. Tight ends are going to be Boyle, Waller, and Kelsey. And then Conklin, Knox, and Green. Really feel like we're getting gypped with Rucker. 2 years in a row, basically, at 1,000 yards for a tight end. I feel like he deserves a little bit more respect. Take a look at the offensive line. Hawkins, Ekwonu, maybe. Armstead and Smith at left tackle, Green, Mutai, Nelson, and Batonio at left guard. Centers are going to be Jensen, Kelsey, Hudson, and Lindsley. So we do have at least one person on offense. Guards, right guards are going to be Teller, Scherf, Martin, and Davis, with right tackles being Wirfs, O'Neal, Johnson, and Ramczyk. So only one person for us on offense, same as last year, same player as last year. Left ends, we're going to have Clowney, Jordan, Young, and Agba. So Chase Young does make it for us, played about half the season for us, and he struggled off the get-go, but after a few weeks, he was consistently in the backfield. Not really getting sacks per se, although he did lead the team with, I want to say, like 9.5 or 8.5, but he led the team in tackles for loss with, I believe, 20. So definitely good there. So there's at least 2. At right end, we have Ngankwe, Hutchinson, Garrett, and Quinn. DTs are Buckner, Vita Vea, and Odighizuwa. I'm pretty sure I'm butchering that. I am sorry. Brown, Allen, and Tomlinson. So no DTs for us. Left outside linebacker going to be TJ Watt, Crosby, Ingram, and Bosa. And I do already see a middle linebackers, David, Kendricks, Jerome Baker. So back again 2 years in a row. And Prater. Or not Prater, wow, Pratt. Prater's a kicker. At right outside linebackers, Allen, Landry, Mack, and Jones. And then corners going to be Awuzie, Lewis, Ward, and Fulton, not Denzel Ward, so no one for us there. Then Howard, Mullen, Terrell, I think it's Terrell. And then Jackson. So yeah, no corners for us. Safeties are going to be Jinkson, Morig, Bates, and Diggs, as well as Chin, Ward, Burgess, and Ryan. Kickers, McManus and Tucker. Punters, Fox and Gillikin. And then kick returners, Patterson, Brown, punt returners, Morse, and QT, I think is how it's pronounced. So, again, slight improvement. We had 1 extra player with Chase Young, who's normally in the Pro Bowl, so we at least get 3 Pro Bowlers this year. And now in Super Bowl week, we see it's Lions and Ravens. Great for the Lions, but that's now 2 years in a row where someone from our division has been in the Super Bowl. So maybe we're just in a very tough division, a very well-built division, because the Steelers were in the Super Bowl last year and they won. Now it's the Ravens in the Super Bowl. If they win, maybe we could just say that we're playing in a very tough division, but we'll only find that out when we get to next week. But before we get there, let's take a look at the yearly awards. And who would have guessed it? Patrick Mahomes is the MVP, with the Coach of the Year going to Dan Campbell. For the AFC, Adam Thielen is winning Offensive Player of the Year. That's what I like to see. Granted, it's not for us, but still, it's what I like to see. And for us, Zeke is down at 6. Now, Zeke was over 1,000 yards, I think 15 rushing touchdowns, also had a good chunk of touchdowns in the receiving game. But I just feel like he hasn't played as well as you would think he would. So we'll see if we end up keeping him around, but he's someone I'm questionable about, at least currently. As for Defensive Player of the Year, it goes to Khalil Mack with Jerome Baker in second. Wow, we could have had a nice boost there for him. Offensive Rookie of the Year goes to Scott Irons. We saw him his first game. His first pass was a drop, I believe, from the receiver. Then second pass was, I believe, a pick 6. So started his year off really bad, but then led his team back to beat us in that same game. For us, Rashawn Holiday was in at 4. Defensive Rookie of the Year, another Raider, goes to Tyler Cano. And I don't believe we really had much. Yeah, we did have Jonathan Sapp, and he played all right. Honestly, I don't think he was targeted that much, so maybe that's good. Best QB is Patrick Mahomes, and our guy not on the list. Best running back goes to Derrick Henry, and Elliott down at 4. Best receiver, Adam Thielen. I won't argue there. And any of our guys? No. I think we had 2 guys. I think Olave was maybe a little over 1,000 or just slightly under. And then Garrett Wilson also just like 20 or so yards under 1,000. So our guys are good, but we're spreading the ball out a lot. So we don't really necessarily have that number 1 guy. Best O-line goes to Chris Lindstrom. And we did not have a guy on the list. I don't know if I agree with that, but it's fine. Best D-line goes to Myles Garrett. Chase Young for us down at 7. Best linebacker goes to Khalil Mack with Baker all the way down at 6, even though he was second for Defensive Player of the Year. So again, Jerome Baker not getting the love he deserves. Best DB goes to Xavier Howard. And did we have anyone on the list? No. Best kicker, Jake Verity. And we didn't have anyone on the list either. We did miss quite a few field goals, but we made all of our extra points. So as for the NFC, Offensive Player of the Year is Joe Mixon. Defensive Player of the Year, TJ Watt. Offensive Rookie goes to Alex Castro. Defensive Rookie, Glenn White, with Taylor Heineke winning Best Quarterback. So when we traded for Ritter from the Eagles, Heineke took off. So you're welcome, Heineke. Best Running Back, Joe Mixon. Best Receiver, Devontae Smith. And then Best O-Line, Frank Ragnow. On the defensive side, Yannick Ngakoue wins Best D-Line. TJ Watt, Best Linebacker. Chidobe, I think it's Chidobe. Chidobe Awuzie wins Best DB. Zane Gonzalez, Best Kicker. So in total, we had some guys in running, but didn't really win anything. So similar to last year, we came close at least with Defensive Player of the Year. And this year's Super Bowl champs are the Detroit Lions. So not another one from our division winning, but the Lions, I think it's about time that they get one. And the Super Bowl MVP ends up going to left outside linebacker, edge rush guy, Rashawn Gary. So good for Detroit. They finally get one on the board in this fictional universe. As for us, we have 3 more seasons in which we have to win a Super Bowl by, or we fail the challenge. So today we'll be trying to build up this team as best as we can with the random allotment of draft picks that we still have left after all of our trades. But before we get there, I believe we have some backups that'll probably have some upgrades. And for all these backups, I'm just going to go ahead and just auto upgrade them because most likely they're not going to be either making the squad, at least the 53-man, could very well just go back to the practice squad next season. But now it's time to get on over to the actual offseason, find out if we have any retirees, and re-sign some of our players, maybe decide that we don't want to re-sign some players, kind of go from there. And as for retirements this year, Rodney Hudson, Riley Reef, Tyrod Taylor, Mike Davis, Kyle Rudolph, Morgan Moses, Chris Banjo, Roger Saffold, Justin Pugh, Nick Folk, Cornelius Lucas, Harrison Smith retires, Aaron Rodgers, Casey Hayward, Graham Gano, Xavier Rhodes, Ryan Bulaga, Gabe Jackson, Taysom Hill retires, Demario Davis, Brett Kern, Ryan Suckup, Corey Peters, TJ Carey, who we ended up releasing at the beginning of the season, so he retires, no bringing him back, Vinny Curry, Devontae Freeman, Mike Remmers, Jimmy Smith, LJ Fort, Joe Thomas, Nate Solder, Tom Compton, John Simon, Rodney McLeod, Joe Hayden, Jerry Hughes, Al Woods, Cam Newton retires, Marcus Gannon, not Gannon, Lane Taylor, Blaine Gabbert, Malcolm Butler, Matt Barkley, Robert Alford, Carlos Dunlap, Chase Daniel, Bruce Irvin, Greg Mansk, I think is how you pronounce that, Josh Andrews, Jimmy Graham, Damian Square, Brian Hoyer, Kyle Wilbur, Nick Williams, Jaleel Aday, Mark Ingram, Colt McCoy, Mario Addison, Benson Mayoa, Henry Anderson, and DJ Hayden. So a lot of names that are pretty popular, pretty well-known players, as well as some very well-known players, and even Colt McCoy I feel like is a well-known player just from his time at Texas. But for us, nothing major. One thing I do want to take a look at, as I believe it should have hit by now, is see if we had any regression for some of our players. And Taylor Decker, who turned 30, does not look like he regressed at all, so that is good. Nor did Andrew Norwell, who's now 32, so not doing too bad. And Corey Lindsley did not regress either, so we're looking much better. Not even Pat Elflein retired, and he's one that I assumed probably would. But now starts the off-season business. Now, Noah Brown, we brought back after we ended up trading Curtis Samuel. He's 28 years old, a 72 overall. I don't feel like this is something I want to do now. I want to see what we have in open free agency. So for now, I'm going to withdraw any offer from Brown, but we're not re-signing him. We'll just see what we end up doing. And we'll come back to Zeke at the end. Desmond Ridder, if we want to sign, or if we want to trade him, we have to sign him. So need to find something that we could try to work out here. He expects about 10 mil a season for 4 years. So this would be a little bit over that. And I think we could make the offer and hopefully he takes it. But he's going to test free agency, so now we don't have a quarterback to potentially trade, which is concerning. Which, if you haven't seen, we've traded for a lot of players, so we don't have a first-round pick. I believe we gave that up in the last offseason. I believe we have a second, and then some 4s, a 5 and a 7, I think, or a 6 and a 7, something like that. So we have some odd picks. As for Raekwon McMillan, I think we're going to end up doing the same thing we're doing with Noah Brown. See what's available in free agency, maybe come back to him if there's nothing else there. He hasn't really gotten much play time, so not someone that I'm necessarily wanting to re-sign. Also, again, being on the older side. Tyreek Smith, I would like to keep around as he's young, has some time to develop a bit, and we could definitely use that. So let's see what the player-friendly offer is here. And I think I'd rather make this a 3-year deal and maybe bump down some of the money here. See if he likes that. He will test free agency. I'll add him to my list of players to bring back. Josie Love, definitely someone I would like to keep around, but these younger guys, they're really out for a lot of money, and I don't really want to pay a whole lot of money for some of these guys. So I'll bump this up a little bit, make it a 4-year, $2 million a season for a backup running back, see if he takes that. And he's just not interested in signings. Now, Lindsey Watts, probably a very similar thing will happen. I'll offer him a decent deal here. He'll probably say no, and I'll add him to the list. And that's exactly what happened. And honestly, most of these guys here probably aren't going to sign, but I will offer them something that I think is reasonable for where they are. I mean, they're under 70 overall. You're not really going to get a whole lot of money, but I'll make some offers, add them to the list, and then we'll go back to them in the open free agency. Definitely want to bring back Chris LaRubio, because in the one, I think it was more like half of a quarter that he played really well. So I would like to keep him around, but want to do so at a reasonable cost. And actually, Chris LaRubio takes it. We gave him a little bit more in a bonus, a little bit less in salary, and he'll take it. So we got our backup quarterback for a while. And Wyatt Davis, not one that I necessarily think we need to get, but if he doesn't take the offer, which he doesn't, we'll add him to the list, see if he'll come back later. So now that leaves us with Zeke. And I would like to keep him around, but he wants a really good contract, a really expensive contract. But since his motivations really aren't being met, it makes him very questionable in if he actually wants to play here. And he's already 29, so I don't want to pay too much. I could definitely go up to 8 mil a season, but I feel like this might be... Oh, never mind. I guess what he wanted went down a bit this offseason, so that works. Zeke signed. And that leaves us 65 mil left in cap to try to do something. Just curious what the franchise tag would cost. Yeah, no, Ritter is not worth 21.5. That would make it impossible for us to trade him if we were trying to trade to move up in the draft to get the projected top 5 quarterback that I think is probably actually a bit less than that. And in fact, we still don't know the last 5%, so it's going to make it difficult in trying to find where he's going to go. We'll see if we get any more information on him before the focus scouting, but if we don't, then I'll definitely want to figure out where Paul Schillinger is supposed to go, and then also try to complete some scouting on some other guys. So Jared Chapman, I would like to find out where he's estimated to go, as well as Cole Lawrence. So a couple guys who are very close to completion, just a little bit off. So those will be the focus scouts for us for sure. But now comes the fun part of the offseason. There are some actual really good players available. So in this first round, we can only have 5 negotiations. So I will run through here, see if I find anyone that, one, is a player from a school from Ohio, if they fit, if it meets a need that we have, and then we'll go from there. And for the first offer, we are going to offer Desmond Ritter, because if we're not able to move up or have the quarterback fall to us, we need to make sure we have someone. I don't just want to have only LaRubio on the roster. So we'll offer Desmond Ritter. They say that a 4-year, 10.2 mil is a good expected value, a good contract to offer. I'm going to up that just a little bit, go with 10.5 for 4 years. So hopefully that'll bring him in. It doesn't look like he has any other offers to this point. Another offer we're going to put out is for Scotty Miller out of Bowling Green State. I think he would be a solid backup in that slot role. We don't necessarily have someone that fits that spot, so we will offer a decent deal. They say 3.4 over 2. Doesn't look like many people are interested, so I'm going to bring this down for now, just to try to save a little bit of money, but we won't go super cheap. We'll make it 2.7 over 2. Not terribly far off, but we'll see if he has any interest in it. And now we're going to go for a really big signing here. One that you may have not expected. Punter Cameron Johnston. We do not have a punter on roster, so might as well try to get one signed. We'll give him 1.3 for a 3-year contract. Should be fine for a punter. Not highly interested in it, but they normally take them. So we only have 3 people we're going to offer this round. So we'll see if they end up taking it. We're the only ones who've offered any of them. So we will see eval offers, see if they sign. And we do get one player signed, Desmond Ritter, back on the squad. So if we end up trading him, great. If we end up keeping him, great. As for these other 2, we could make an adjustment to our offer, see if they will take it. So for Scotty Miller, he wants a bit more. He wants 2 years, 3.4. And that is what this has moved back to. So let's see if we could knock this down just a little bit, make it a little bit more favorable here for us. What if we do, that'd be 2 years, 3 mil a season. We'll make that offer for Scotty. As for the punter, he wants a little bit more. We'll make this a solid 1.5. And we'll see if they like those new offers. And now we have some other interest here coming in for Scotty Miller. And there is some definite gap between him or between us and what the Bucks are offering. So I'm going to jump back over to the receivers, because there was another one who was a potential player for us to bring in. And that other player is Paris Campbell. We could bump this up to 3 years, but I want to make it $4 million per season. So we'll make that offer, see if he's more interested in that. And as well as the punter still wanting a little bit more. He wants 1 year, but he really wants that little bit extra. I'd rather have it in a signing bonus. So we will offer the 1.6. See if he'll take that. So we will use one last eval offer here. And we still don't have Paris Campbell or Johnston, but we no longer have Scotty Miller on the board. And so it looks like he ended up going to the Bucks. So we'll have to wait till we get to the next week to see if either of these guys end up signing, but I can go ahead and boost the offer a little bit here. So we'll just go with the 4.3 that it has as the base offer for Paris Campbell, just because I would like to have a fourth guy in case any sort of injuries crop up. As for Johnston, I'll bump this up to a 2-year deal, see if that makes it any better for him. And after simming on over to the next week, Paris Campbell does end up signing, as well as Cameron Johnston. So we do have a new backup receiver and a new punter, Desmond Ridder, returns. And now we have up to 10 negotiations, so let's go out, check on some of the players we weren't able to bring back in the closed free agency, see if we could get them back now. And I got all those offers in, only difference being Eric Wilson instead of Raekwon McMillan because he was already signed. So an older middle linebacker, we could move to that, I believe left outside linebacker was where he was playing. So we'll see if these guys end up signing. I believe everyone else was still available. So we'll check the evals, see if we could get anyone signed. And several people left, and I think Eric Wilson had a better offer from someone else I did not see, but let's see who else we got. So Tyreek Smith is back and Josie Love. So we get 2 back, still have 3 remaining, and then the other guy, Eric Wilson, did end up going to, I think it was Chicago. I just saw it as I hit eval the offers, so I missed out on that. But we'll see if there's any other linebackers available. As for the remaining few guys here, we'll bump up the contracts a little bit here, try to see if we can get those signed. And with all those contract offers adjusted, looking pretty good for most of them. Could probably even bring down the offers a little bit, but we will try there. So that would be Watts, Davis, and Munford all there. So we end up re-signing 5 of the 6 that we offered. Desmond Ridder's coming back, brought in a new punter and new backup receiver. So now we have a couple more guys we could just try to look at, see if there's anything that's decently available for us. And there really wasn't much available for us to take a look at, so instead what we could look for is the combine and pro day results here. So for Schillinger, he actually ran a 4.9, which is not as bad as I would have thought with marginal speed. Granted, marginal it's pretty bad, but actually not too awful. Good bench press, so definitely should have an elite arm, which it does say that he should. We're still missing that last 5%, which means we don't know some of the extra random bits like juke move, carrying, stiff arm, stamina, spin move, or trucking. But what we do know is he has A, awareness, with B, break, sack, B, play action, B, deep, medium, and short accuracies, C, throw on the run, but A, under pressure. So I'm thinking maybe a round 1 to 2 is what I think he's actually going to go at. As for our only real draftable defensive line option, Jared Chapman, he's a big dude, 6'4", 330. You expect him to have some strength, and that he does, 46 reps. And not very quick, nor agile or really anything, but he has a decent broad jump for a big guy. But his skills are kind of listed as a round 1 to 2. I think more of a round 2 to 3 with B, awareness and play rec, but then C, power moves, block shedding, and finesse moves. A, impact, solid, but everything else is kind of middle of the road, I would say. So around 1 to 2, I don't think so. I expect him to fall. Our linebacker option, hopefully he's a bit better. He has the size that I would assume would come with a lot of speed, and yeah, he's running running back numbers. 4.43 or 4.48, somewhere in between there, with about the same for the 20-yard shuttle. I mean, this dude is quick. He's strong as well. 21 reps to 23 reps. So pretty solid strength there for sure. And then his skill set, really good. A, awareness, and then B, block shedding, man coverage, and zone coverage, plus play rec. Has a little bit of some ability to rush the passer with C power moves, so he could probably blitz a little bit. He could catch the ball. He could tackle. Solid injury. I could see him definitely being a late round 1, maybe early round 2. If some of those B ratings were an A, I could definitely see him being a solid round 1 for sure. So, if anything, I expect Cole Lawrence to actually probably be the higher rated guy compared to the quarterback in the DT. But linebacker isn't a necessary need for us. I would still like to pick him up for sure, but we'll see kind of where these guys end up falling. But I think all we could do now is get on over to the off-season recap period, because there's no more contract offers we need to make. So we'll get over to there. We'll select those 3, the quarterback, the DT, and the linebacker for our focus scouts, just so we can find out exactly where they're supposed to fall, so we can gauge where we might need to trade. So we'll get over there, and then it's draft time. And now on draft week, we could take a look at the focus scouting, and Paul Schillinger does drop down to around 1 to 2, pretty much exactly where I was expecting him to go. He's young though, so we'll need to try to trade up. We do have that second round pick. Does he far enough for us to use our second round pick on him? Probably not. If we take a look at the quarterback class in general, we see that Schillinger is actually the 3rd rated quarterback, with 2 others that could potentially go before him, maybe even after him. So it makes it a little bit difficult as to what we have to wait and see what happens. Does look like Brogan Snyder is actually a pretty good quarterback, but not from a school from our area. So Paul Schillinger is our only option. So we'll have to play by ear. I think we'll end up needing to use Ritter and maybe some other picks to try to move up and grab Schillinger. As for our DT option, nailed that one as well. Projected round 1 to 2, but actually a 2 to 3. And what we know from the final bits of information is he's a solid guy that you could try to build to be any one direction. I don't think he's going to be extremely great off the get-go, and I don't believe he's someone we necessarily need to trade up to get, because I see a skill set that's very similar to Togiai, and I don't need to trade to draft someone that is exactly someone we already have on the roster. So Jared Chapman, while if he's available when we're picking, great. Otherwise, I think we need to go after that linebacker instead. And that linebacker, I'm pretty sure I nailed this one too, goes up to a solid round 1 guy. Pretty much exactly, like I said, what I was thinking. So I nailed all of these scouts by myself. So that's fun. But yeah, has a little bit of some power moves and finesse moves, so can blitz and cause some havoc for the quarterback in the passing game when not covering. Granted, with B, man, and zone, will probably be covering most of the time. And honestly, with that solid speed that he has, being 226, 6 foot, you could consider moving him to strong safety. We have Von Bell there, and he's played all right, but I would be curious to see what his ratings would look like as a box safety. So hopefully we'll have the chance to draft him, but considering we don't have any round 1 picks, it would be very difficult. In fact, where does he sit in the overall linebacker board? And he's actually down at 4, so potential for some other guys to go before him. So we're definitely going to need to try to play this draft by ear, use whatever we can to try to move up and grab some of these guys. Because that's the only way I think we're going to get better in the draft, is by moving up. So let's see what we can get done. And the draft is underway. Go ahead and pause here just because I want to see where my picks actually, like where they would be and kind of what we actually have. So in terms of our picks, we have the 42nd, so that would have been pick 9 or 10. I think pick 9 if we had the first round. So we have a 2, a 3, 2 4s, a 6, and a 7. So I feel like we made a trade and got back to 3. I think that was from the Curtis Samuel trade. So we've gotten some things back. But with a round 1 to 2 quarterback, do we expect him to drop to the 42nd pick? What about that linebacker as well? I think the best thing to do is to kind of use the overall draft board to kind of see where we expect players to go. And they actually have Paul Schillinger going in the top 5, even though his talent level doesn't actually meet that. And when we do look at the quarterbacks, he is the 3rd. So they expect 3 quarterbacks to go off the board immediately. I think we're going to have to play it by ear there. Do kind of wait for the first couple picks to go. See if the next team needs a quarterback. If they do, we might have to try to trade up to the 3rd overall pick. Don't know if that'll really be possible, but it's something we might have to do. In terms of the linebacker that we like, just trying to see where he falls. And they actually don't have the linebacker we really like going until the 46th pick. So it is possible for us to be able to pick him up with our 2nd pick, where they currently have another linebacker going. So it's possible. Again, we'll have to play by ear. But let's get through the first pick or 2 and see kind of what ends up happening. So with the first pick in the NFL draft, the 2024 NFL draft, the Broncos select Brogan Snyder, quarterback out of Nebraska. Bills with the 2nd pick go with another quarterback, Shaden Thomas, out of Alcorn State. So now, do the Washington Commanders need a quarterback? And indeed, they do. Currently, they have a 78 overall Derek Carr. We'll see if we could work something out with him, so we could bring in a new quarterback, because Ritter, while he has played well at times, hasn't played extremely well. He's in his year and a half roughly playing with us, he's thrown 60 touchdowns, but 40 interceptions. And that's just not something that we could have. If we want to get to the Super Bowl, we got to clean that up, and there's a possibility that we could clean that up with Schillinger. And I've tried just about every combination of trade that we can do with what we have. I've even offered Von Bell. We don't have a backup safety that's a good caliber, but I could make something work. But it's just not happening here with the Commanders. So unfortunately, with the lack of pick, I've got it really close. With Ritter, Bell, and our 2nd round pick, it was a millimeter off of being accepted. But unfortunately, there's nothing I could do to get them to accept. So we're just going to have to hope that they go with a different quarterback. So with the 3rd pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Washington Commanders go with Drew Patterson, defensive tackle out of Oklahoma. We have a chance still. Chicago Bears up next. And the Bears could definitely go with a quarterback. They currently have Jalen Hurts, so I've seen many times in Maddens where teams will still draft a quarterback when they have a guy like Jalen Hurts. So would they be interested? I know it's overdrafting him because we know he's not a top 5 player, but he's a necessity for us. It's not like a normal draft. If this was like the Cardinals or something, then sure, I wouldn't be pushing for him. But as this is the Ohio only, really have to see what all they're interested in, and they're really not that interested in Ritter. See what else we could kind of put together. And we're really not going to get anywhere close with the Bears. They're even further away than we were with the Commanders. So just hopefully the Bears don't take him. And if he does end up going, we rock with Ritter for a year. And maybe in the next draft we'll have another option if we don't win the Super Bowl. So let's skip ahead with the 4th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft. The Chicago Bears pick Nicholas Bolden, left tackle, Texas A&M. Maybe teams are seeing that the quarterback isn't as good as he was projected. So maybe that'll be in our favor. But I'm still going to have to check with every team. Now, next up is the Bucs. You don't expect they draft a quarterback with Justin Herbert and then back up with Kirk Cousins. They should be solid. I don't think we need to attempt a trade here with the Bucs. I've been wrong before, and hopefully I'm right this time. So with the 5th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Buccaneers go with Greg Pierman, right outside linebacker. Now the Jets are on the clock. And the Jets definitely could use a new quarterback. Matthew Stafford, 36 years old. And the next guy up is Devin Medlock, a 22-year-old. They could definitely very much go draft a guy here, but at least we're now outside the top 5. It shouldn't take as much to now trade up to get into the top 10. It should still take a good bit, but hopefully now a bit more in our favor. And no trade again here, working out well with us for the Jets, so we're just going to have to hope they don't go QB. So with the 6th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select quarterback Jake Richmond, Boston College. So our guy Schillinger has already been skipped by a guy projected to go under him. And now the Titans' number 1 need is a quarterback. They do have Demarius Drummond. You would think that they would try to roll with him. Only 1 year in the NFL. I could see with some of the ratings, maybe they try to go grab a new guy who could potentially be a bit better. So we'll see if maybe we can work out a deal with them instead. And once again, I've tried so many different things, but I don't think there's a way to trade this. They have come extremely close, but I just haven't been able to get them to accept. So, with the 7th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Kendrick Means, tight end, not even someone that was on their top board or like in their top needs. Okay, well, still alive here. San Francisco, what do you need? And they have a 77 overall Trey Lance. I don't think they would be extremely interested in Ritter because they're pretty much going to be the same player. So I don't think they would really be that interested. But we could see what they think. Just wouldn't be very realistic for them to have both Lance and Ritter. Nor would it be very realistic for them to go draft another quarterback. But we've seen Madden do that a lot of times. So let's see if we could work something out here. And with Ritter as a base, less than half, really don't seem like they're very interested. Which, if we go off of anything we've done so far, we don't really have a trade option here with the 49ers. So with the 8th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Donald Jackson, DT out of Washington State. Now the Rams are up. And the Rams do not need quarterback with Kyler Murray as their starter and Matt Corral as their number 2. So we'll skip through the Rams. Again, shouldn't draft him. Will they? You never know with Madden AI. But if it's been improved like they talked about, they should not pick up our quarterback. So with the 9th pick, the 2024 NFL Draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Darquez Watkins, cornerback, Virginia Tech. Now the Giants. And the Giants have Mac Jones. I don't see them going quarterback, but I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they do. Granted, I've said this several times, but I don't think they would need him. And getting out of the top 10 would be great for us in actually being able to potentially trade up. So, with the 10th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Jamar Kidd, right end out of Memphis. And that guy does not look like a kid. That is a 50-plus-year-old guy. But next up is the Jaguars. And the Jaguars have Joe Burrow. They should not draft a quarterback in this series. Maybe a backup quarterback, but not the one that we want. So with the 11th pick, the Jaguars pick Sean Middleton, right guard, California. Now the Falcons desperately need a quarterback. They only have Tyler Huntley. I feel like this might be our time here. With a 12th overall, you would hope for a round 1 to 2 guy you could trade and maybe like in the 20 range, 20 overall. But let's see what we could work out here with the Falcons. So obviously Ritter would be part of the deal. And it's finally happened. With Petit Frere, Ritter, and our 3rd round pick, we're moving up to the 12th overall pick. And you know who we're going for. And top of the remaining board, Paul Schillinger. projected top 5, actual round 1 to 2, sitting at 12, probably a little bit higher than where we should be picking him. But again, he's the only quarterback option this high that we've had in this. Well, it's only been 2 off seasons, but he could be the only one. So it's time for our new quarterback to be brought in. Paul Schillinger is a hidden dev with 96 throw power. Also has 76 speed, so he could escape the pocket if he has to. But that's Josh Allen throw power right there. That is unlocking the deep part of the field with our 3 top-end young receivers, as well as bringing in Paris Campbell with our number 4. The speed we have, we can unlock with Paul Schillinger. All that we went through to get this trade, I sure hope it was worth it. But we're not in the clear yet. Let's take a look at the board, because there's still a linebacker that we really want to bring in. And we don't pick until the 42nd overall pick. So let's see how far down the board he is. And he is still about a full round away. So sitting about where we pick. So I'm going to roll steady on through. And if I see some linebackers start to go off the board, we might be making another trade. He currently sits still 4th in terms of overall linebacker, middle linebacker. So let's start getting through the draft here a little bit. I'll bring you in if we end up missing on him or if it's time to make a trade. And we're jumping in a few picks ahead. We're 10th in the 2nd round. We're sitting with the Bears at 4. Now, the reason we're coming in here is because the Bears could go with a middle linebacker. I'm not sure they necessarily will, but they have a slight need there. They're number 4 in terms of what they say the team thinks its needs are, and they definitely could use a young middle linebacker to build a team around. So I think, even though there's 2 linebackers left, I think we make a trade here. And we'll see if there's something we could send them. Maybe even still keep our pick. I mean, that'd be cool for sure. But I wouldn't say we really have something to trade with. So let's try to go with some picks. They'll just have to slide down a few, pick up a 4th. Are they interested? They are. They'll make that trade. We'll give away one of our 4ths that we probably don't really even need. And now we could safely go get our linebacker. Sitting 2nd on the board with round 1 talent in the 2nd round, we will be drafting Cole Lawrence, linebacker out of Ohio State. Has maybe the potential of also playing box safety. We'll see what fits best with him. But he is the pick, and only normal dev. Little unfortunate, but 89 speed. He has the potential to maybe play some strong safety. We'll see where he fits best. But either way, we're getting one of what honestly actually is the best player, at least with the talent shown, in our potential draft class. And now we have a 4th, a 6th, and a 7th. Left on our board is a potential backup quarterback in Justin McLaughlin, as well as the DT, I think. Yeah, the DT still available is a 2nd to 3rd rounder. If he's there in the 4th round, great. I don't think we need to trade up for him. And then there was the day 3 guy that we were semi-interested in. So now I think we could just fall back to that 4th round and we'll just pick best available. So now in the day 3 category, let's see what all we have available here for us. And as we could already see, that backup quarterback option no longer available. That's fine. Wasn't a necessity for us. As well as it looks like that DT is gone. So we have some day 3 guys. Let's run through them, see who we think is probably the best. So obviously, I talked before about Floyd Hightower here. A backup corner for us. He has some speed, but that's about it. He's got to have some strength. He has a pretty decent box jump, or broad jump, not box jump. In terms of his skills, someone that could develop as a slot corner, but isn't really ready to start in that, or really have much play time at all, probably year 1. You'd think maybe year 2 after he develops a little bit. We'll see what else we have available as potential draftees. Eric Henson, an outside linebacker, labeled as a run stopper. What does his skills look like? We CC block shedding. I'm sure we could find something else a little better for this pick. And there is Quincy Lloyd, a left tackle listed as agile. What does he look like? We see some C's, some B's, and then a range here. So he could be solid. He could also be pretty bad. But he's strong and has some good speed as well. I think this is a solid guy here. Listed as a day 3. I mean, obviously we could be overdrafting him, but he has potential. So we'll pick him up. Quincy Lloyd, 87 strength, 76 acceleration, not too bad. We'll see what his skills end up being at the end. Now down in the 6th round, we still have 12 guys on the board, but that corner is no longer available. So in terms of some guys that could potentially be drafted, there is Jared Potter here, who went up 66 spots. We could maybe take a look at him. Just trying to see what guys maybe jumped up a lot. There is Brian Bayless. Do we need another fullback? Probably not. A couple running backs here. I don't know. Let's take a look at some of these guys, see where we think they might actually fit. So Jared Potter, potential undrafted, but he's young. Listed as a speed rusher, would then be moved to a left or right end. Does not have much strength, but is pretty fast. Broad jump pretty good as well. In terms of skills, we know B to D block shedding. Does have that A to C finesse. If that is honestly even a B, I mean, if it's an A, fantastic. If it's a B, that's not too bad for late, at least this late. C to F tackling, not fantastic. He's an option. We'll definitely remember Jared Potter. And honestly, based off of everything that's available here, I mean, maybe the fullback, but I don't need to draft another fullback, so we'll gamble here. Jared Potter, the potential undrafted, is drafted. And we see 70 strength, not awful. 82 speed, 87 acceleration, only a normal dev. He will get a boost to strength with our coaching staff, I believe up to 74, because we move him to left end or right end. So we'll see how well he fits. And in the 7th round, still 8 guys on the board. But who gets that final spot? I don't think we need to go after the quarterback. Could be a undrafted signee. Same with the running backs and fullbacks. But what about some of these other guys? Any interesting stats here? Dave Townsend, you do not have any block shedding, but do you have speed? Listed at 6'2", 304, 23 years old. Not much speed, is pretty strong. We know D block shedding, so not great, but maybe could provide a little bit of power rush ability in the middle. Wouldn't be bad. But besides him, do we have anything that seems intriguing? Do we have any potential draftable players? No, all potential undrafted. But we also have some trades. See if we have any for the future, because they're not necessarily anyone that I specifically want to pick up. Could just trade for a 7th round next year, a 6th round from the Eagles or from the Dolphins. We'll just get a 6th round pick here from the Eagles. So, just like that, our draft day is done. Now it's time to go check out these draftees, and hopefully we hit big on the quarterback and the linebacker. And Paul Schillinger, as well as Cole Lawrence, both 74 overalls. So we get a little bit younger at quarterback, but we do drop about 2 overalls. So I don't necessarily think it would be a home run. This dude also is already balding at 21, so Miami of Ohio must have been stressful for him. But he is drafted. What are the ratings looking like? A lot of throw power. This guy can sling it for sure. Accuracies can use a little bit of work. If we take out the morale affecting him, probably just due because he slid in the draft, we have short accuracy as an 81, medium 77, deep 78. Awareness is a 76. Throw on the run is not bad, actually. Play action not too bad. Throw into pressure 77. So yeah, not awful. Break sack not bad. Decent acceleration. Has some ability to get out of the pocket. Injury looks solid. So I think we got a pretty decent quarterback here. Pocket style, ideal sense of pressure, aggressive forcing passes. We'll see how that plays out. A predictable player, balanced penalty. So not bad. We'll see how well he plays, but we might have ourselves a Josh Allen here. with that 96 throw power, should really help us unlock the deep part of the field. And with Zeke in the backfield still, he should be able to help take a little pressure off of him as well. So, Paul Schillinger? Not too bad. I don't know about number 14, but not too bad. As for our middle linebacker, Cole Lawrence, we know he has a lot of speed, 89 with 87 acceleration. Tackling is already an 84. Block shedding is a 74. Hit power 76. Awareness 77. 71 play rec. Has some strength. Coverage isn't great. So I think we will keep him down at linebacker. But if for some reason we need a new strong safety, we could potentially move him over there. Definitely will not be wearing number 91, but a solid guy here, which will probably take over that third linebacker spot. We'll see how well he plays. Could end up taking over Werner's spot. It's not locked in. Werner has played all right here and there, or decently here and there, but has had some really good games and then some games you just really don't see him. So we'll see who ends up being the sub linebackers for us, whether it's Werner or Lawrence, but definitely Jerome Baker is leading the charge. As for our guest picks, Quincy Lloyd is a 65 overall, and he's coming in with really good strength and actually not too bad of blocking ratings. Lead block is solid. The pass block, power, and finesse is not very good, so he's definitely more of a run blocker. Probably move him down to a guard spot with that being the case. But it'll help us move on, I think, from some of the older backups that we have on roster. So not too bad for a random guess there on Quincy Lawrence. Or Quincy Lloyd. Wow, did I say Lawrence both times? Quincy Lloyd. And then Jared Potter, a complete guess, and definitely is going to need some work. He doesn't really have a lot of strength, nor any sort of dominant pass rush ability. He has some finesse moves, a little bit of block shedding. He's definitely a raw talent. Will be moved to left or right end, whatever one better fits him, but probably going to be a practice squad candidate for year one. So the last thing to do here before we wrap up this episode, I will sim on over to the week 1 of preseason, so that way I could scavenge the entire free agency for any potential guys to add to the roster and see if we could find any gems. And free agents signed and players moved around the roster. So here's a look at what we have. Paul Schillinger will stay at 14. It was either 14 or 9, but I didn't want to have 9 considering we just had it. But I did change his face because I didn't want our young 21-year-old starting quarterback to look like a 40-year-old punter. So I changed his face. We did find a undrafted quarterback, Darren Tennant, out of Toledo. But after taking a quick look, comparing him to LaRubio, we're going to go with LaRubio as QB2. Throw power is the same, but short throw accuracy is a little bit lower. Same with medium. He does have the edge with deep and as well as a throw under pressure and break sack. But we know what LaRubio can do, so he'll get the start at, or not the start, but he'll get the QB2 spot, and we'll either run with 3 QBs on roster or Darren Tennant will head to the practice squad. At running back, we have a lot of guys, and Trey Sermon really didn't see the field that much last year, so he could very well be traded earlier in the season, if not during preseason, to help us get back some picks, because again, like we saw during the draft, we only have 4 and below for the next draft. So if we don't make it and win the Super Bowl, we need to have some picks to be able to pick people up. So we might wait. Actually, yeah, it'll be sometime probably next episode because there's some younger guys. Josie Love we like. I want to get Ben Pierce some more snaps out there. We did end up picking up Justin Shirley, who is definitely just going to be a practice squad receiving back for us. Josh Howard looks very similar to Ben Pierce. That blend of speed and power with a little bit of catching ability as well. So I like Ben Pierce and Josh Howard, but Shirley and Howard will go to the practice squad for sure. We do have some backup linemen that we could probably move around. James Hudson is on the edge of making even the practice squad, considering we were able to bring in Quincy Lloyd, who's younger and better than him. Munford, only 1 overall less, or not even an overall less, the same overall but a year younger, means James Hudson is on the edge of being cut. Over on the defensive side of the ball, we did find Zach Carmichael, who's a very raw talent. Basically looked a lot like the linebacker that we drafted. Has potential to grow, but is definitely going to need to see some improvement, so he'll be headed to the practice squad for sure. At right end, that's where we moved the outside linebacker to Jared Potter. We feel like he'll fit in better there, is at least a scheme fit, and he'll again most likely be a practice squad guy. At DT, we found Dave Townsend, and he has a lot of strength, tackle ability, but next to no moves at all. He has potential to grow the block shedding and power moves, but he's very raw, again, a practice squad candidate guy. At left outside linebacker, that is where we moved Cole Lawrence. He will get the start there for sure in the base package, so like the 4-3 and the 4-4. Malik Harris will probably become a bit of trade candy if we could find a decent backup that we could bring in somewhere between like a 72 to 68 overall. Then that'll probably work out best for us there. But every other position the same besides punter. We do have the new guy in Cameron Johnston, so hopefully he can punt well for us. But that is it. That's the end of the offseason. We do see, like I said, we have a 4, 5, 2 6s, and 2 7s next year, but nothing in any of the top rounds. So we'll probably end up trading some guys to try to bring in maybe some 3rds, some 2s if we can. We'll see what the next draft class looks like in the next episode. But I hope you guys enjoyed the offseason. We're able to bring back a lot of players, bring in some new players, and struggle with some of those trades we tried to make for the quarterback. But we were finally able to do it. We brought him in. Now we just need to see him perform. So if you want to see how good he is he the next Josh Allen? You're going to need to stick around. So if you're not subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe with that little button either on the screen if you're on your phone or down below if you're on the computer. Whatever you're watching on, find that button. And also tick that bell notification to be notified of when these videos go live. These state-only challenges posted every Wednesday and Saturday. The traditional series with the Cardinals posted every Monday and Thursday. If you haven't checked that one out, I suggest you do. But until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.